Okay. We have this steady state situation, peak current, this is IL. Let's suppose that the input voltage increases. That means I have an input voltage increase here. Well, from this point on, this is it in. My duty cycle is reduced immediately. I'm happy for this. And it comes down to here, and then it comes up to here. That's all. Here I have the switch opens, it comes down over here, comes up over here, comes down over here, comes up over here, and I go up steeper because the input voltage increases. So my duty cycle decreases, my ripple current increases, and look at the output, at the average current. The average current over here was at that level, and when the input voltage increases, the average current, because I keep the peak constant, the average current goes down. So I get funny behavior. The input voltage goes up, the output voltage goes down because the average current decreases. Have an error in the average current. So IL is not IL peak. It means that I don't have zero audio susceptibility. It means that I don't have constant crossover frequency, but it's not a big deal. Nobody would like to lose his sleep because of this problem. It's just a minor problem. No, that's okay. You know that it exists. The really bad situation occurs, the really bad negative point of the current mode is called subharmonic instability. Subharmonic instability is an instability that occurs in any converter CCM working in current mode. Basically, just buck converters working in CCM current mode. And the reason is this one. Let's suppose that this is my IP. Current is on. And I am working in steady state conditions. Now, and here obviously not the first cycle, here there are other cycles. Now let's suppose that one cycle has a noise over here, and I told you, this kind of topology is quite noise sensitive. Let's suppose that here there is a small noise that ends too early the previous cycle. So current ramps up at this point and comes down with the same slope because the output voltage will change, and we start the next cycle with this current that is too low with respect to the right. And why do I have this error? Is delta I initial. I have this error because the previous cycle had a noise problem. It happens. So the controller does not know anything about it. It says, okay, I still want this maximum current. So, switch is closed at this time, and current ramps up with the same slope as before because the input voltage is the same, the output voltage is the same. And you see that the duty cycle is increased to compensate for this initial error. At that point, switch opens, and I start at the T2 phase, the T off phase, and I come down to this point, this point. This slope, same slope, because the output voltage will change. Next cycle starts. Current starts to climb up, still with the same slope, but it reaches immediately the peak value, and so the switch opens, and it comes down like this. Switch closes, go up, comes down like this. you see, you have a situation where your duty cycle is longer than usual, longer than what is it? Here. This duty cycle is longer than what you would like to have. This is shorter. This is longer. This is shorter. That means your duty cycle starts to oscillate at a frequency that is 1/2 of the switching frequency. One period is long, one period is short, one period is long, one period is short. This is an instability, and it's called subharmonic because it occurs at 1/2 of the switching frequency. Do I have to worry about this phenomenon? Well, let's see. I will if this error, this delta I, initial current error, compared with the final delta IF, with the final current error, you start with a current error over here, and you translate, you propagate this current error up to this end of the cycle. I am worried if this final current error is larger than this initial current error, because if this error keeps increasing each cycle, it diverges. It becomes really expensive. On the other hand, if this final current error is just a fraction of the initial current error, let's suppose the initial current error is 1 amp, this is half an amp, this will be a quarter of an amp, this will be a 1/8 of an amp, it's dying down, it's at the tenth very easily. So what I have to find out, in order to check if this subharmonic instability is dangerous or not, in order to check what are the conditions when I have to worry about this subharmonic instability, is I have to check if delta IF, the current error at the end of the cycle, divided by delta II, the current error at the beginning of a cycle, this should be less than 1. Because if it is less than 1, cycle by cycle is attenuated, is damped out. Here I have to put magnitude, absolute value sign, because this initial current error is negative, this final current error is positive. Okay? Well, it's easy to see what happens over here. Let me just draw one cycle, one single cycle, and just to analyze how this is going to evolve. Time, IL, I peak, this is the IL that I expect, nice IL, cyclostationary conditions, and this is the IL that I get. Delta II, and this is delta IF. Initial value, final value. This slope is M1, and this slope is M2. For a buck converter, this slope is V minus V naught over L. For a buck converter, this M2 is negative V naught over L. For a boost converter, this M1 is V over L. This M2 is V minus V naught over L. For a buck boost, well, you know. So, looking for delta IF, final error, divided by initial error. And let's hope that it's smaller than 1. And in order to find this delta IF, I have to start with this delta I, and I find this delta T from delta I, that means I projected delta I into delta T, and then delta T, I transform it back into delta I using M2. So, delta T equals delta I initial divided by M1. because I have a change here that makes me a change in time, and a vertical change is transformed into a horizontal change in time, and this coefficient, the coefficient related to delta t and delta I is m1. I never remember if it is divided by m1 or multiplied by n1, but there is a simple trick to check if it is multiplied or divided. If you have a geometrical mind, you can say it immediately. But for me, unable to see geometrical relationships, I remember that is m1, is a slope. Those are amps per second, is a current divided by time. So I want a time. I have a current divided by current over time gives me a time. So this is the right solution. This is delta t. Then I take delta t and I find delta IF, taking delta t, this time multiplied by m2. I transform this delta t into delta IF, this delta IF. And so, delta IF divided by delta II, the final current error divided by initial current error equals M2 over M1. And remember, M2 is negative and 1 is positive, so this number is negative, and this number is also negative, because one error is more than and the other one is less than. You start with an error that is down, and you end up with an error that is up with respect to the steady state value. Or if you want to get rid of this stuff, you just put it. So you have M2 over M1, absolute value must be less than 1. This is M1, this is M2. Any idea how to transform this condition that is perfectly right into something easier to handle? Something more meaningful?
You can write M as delta y1 over the base.
M equals delta y divided by delta x. That means delta I divided by delta t. That's okay. So M1 equals delta I, the ripple, peak to peak. Delta I peak to peak divided by T1, T on, and M2 equals delta I peak to peak, that's negative because it's coming down, but don't worry about it, divided by T off. And you want that M2 over M1, absolute magnitude, less than 1 equals, and then 2 over M1 equals delta I peak to peak. This is delta I peak to peak. It's not the error, it's just the normal ripple, current ripple, divided by T off, divided by delta 1, that is T on, divided by delta I peak to peak, that must be delta 1. This and this cancel out. Be careful, 1 is negative. So I should put an absolute value sign over here. And I get that T on, the condition for stability is that T on over T off must be less than 1. This is the condition for stability. What does it mean? T on less than, or T off less than 1?
I can go under 50%.
Duty cycle must be less than 50%. T on must be less than T off. That means duty cycle must be less than 50%. In current mode, you have a subharmonic instability. That means if D, this occurs if D is larger than 0.5. Ouch. This happens quite often, to have D larger than 0.5. If a duty cycle is larger than 0.5, it happens that this final error is larger than the initial error. And so, next cycle, the final error will be larger, even larger than the initial error, and so on. And you end up, most of the time, having one cycle with 0 duty cycle, and the other cycle with a very long duty cycle. Incredibly, the output voltage is the same, stays the same. Because the loop, the voltage loop, keeps still the output voltage at a reasonable level. But your output ripple increases, your stresses increases, it makes noise, it makes disturbance. It's not a good situation to stay. And you see on the scope, sometimes you see one side duty cycle that is smaller than the right, the other one is larger, the one smaller, the one larger, the one smaller, the one larger. If you keep going more and more to instability, that means increasing the average duty cycle, you see that this instability at a given point diverges, and you end up with the one cycle 0, one cycle with long duty cycle, one cycle 0, one cycle with long duty cycle. If you keep increasing the average duty cycle because you want more output voltage, it happens that you start to see again voltage, a current like this, but you see a sequence. Instead of having 2 duty cycles that alternate, 2 duty cycles like, for example, D1, D2, D1, D2 could be, let's say, 70%, 60%, 70%, 60%, and you see on the scope, one wide, one narrow, and the average is 65%, obviously. If you keep going more and more into this instability, you can have 4 duty cycles repeating, like D1, D2, D3, D4. One cycle is, for example, 70%, the other one 60%, the other one 85%, and the other one 60%, 55%. And then it restarts 70, 60, 85, 55, 70, 60, 55, 50. This is still a subharmonic instability, but now the instability frequency is not 1/2 of the switching frequency, it is 1/4 of the switching frequency. If you go even further, you get a situation where you have 8 different duty cycles repeating cycles. And if you go even further, you get 16. Every time you go more and more into the instability, the number of cycles making a cycle, the number of elementary cycles making the unstable cycle doubles. Did you ever see something like this? If you put here, let's say the duty cycle, average. It tells me how unstable I am. You have up to 0.5 no instability. Actually, you have something like this because this is the actual and this is the average. When you pass 0.5, you start to have this instability, and you have one duty cycle that is wider and the other one that is smaller. You get another value, I don't remember which one it is. Instead of having only 2 duty cycles alternating, you have 4 of them. One here, one here, one here, one here. So you have, it goes through these 4 possible duty cycles. Then here, it still duplicates over here. And then it keeps doubling. And then, well, it becomes difficult to make a drawing. But if you notice, the interval you have to move in order to get the double of the period of instability becomes smaller and smaller. And this converges to a given value. And after that value, if you keep going on, what do you have over here? Never saw this. Let's say that this limit is related to the constant of eigenpower. Never heard this name? Yeah. I think, if I remember correctly, it's eigenpower. That is the fig tree, the fig god. Rather the fig god, I don't know. What happens after the Feigenbaum constant is just the ratio of this width? What happens over here? Well, go to check if you find something over here. That is just basic academic stuff. When we get over here, we are already solved. We don't want to get over here. But in some cases, you see up to 4 times I saw it and just playing a little bit with parameters, I saw the 8th periodic repetition, but it was very unstable to treat. So, the subharmonic instability is really a bad thing. And even this IL not equal to I average is a bad thing. So we have to correct it. And the same correction, the same kind of correction we use for subharmonic instability is also working for this IL not equal to I peak instability. We use the same technique with just 2 different coefficients. Let's start to see. Let's start with an easy one. That is, IL average is different from IP. This is I peak, this is IL, and this is IL average. It's everywhere is different. And I can write that I peak minus IL average equals 1/2 of this ripple. Let's go for the buck converter. What I tell you now is for the buck converter. For other converters, there is a change, a small change in the equations. How much is this delta L peak to peak for a buck converter? Well, you can either find out it from this going up the slope or from this coming down the slope. It's the same. Delta L is 1/2 is equal to, we derived it when we studied the buck converter. Or something like V naught of L. What's V naught of L?
Slope
Is the opposite of this slope, but I want that L positive, multiplied by this duration. And this duration is 1 minus D divided by the switching frequency. That means that my IL average equals IP minus 1/2 V naught times 1 minus D over switching frequency times L. I give this command, I want this value, this level, and I got something that is less. If you have a friend who is systematically 10 minutes late to your meetings, and you say, let's see tomorrow at 3:30, and he or she comes at 3:40, and it keeps going on systematically by 10 minutes, what do you do?
come 3 to 20.
You tell him or her, come 10 minutes earlier than what you expect. So you tell him or her, 3:20 tomorrow over there, And you arrive at 3:30, and he or she arrives at 3:30 right in time. That means if there is an error that you know in advance, you can compensate for this error just giving a command that considers also this error. And here we know how much is this error. So if I want a given IL, instead of giving the same value I peak, I give I peak that should be equal to IL plus 1/2 V0 times 1 minus B over switching frequency L. This is the command that I give to the system. The system reacts with its error, intrinsic error, the intrinsic delay of your friend, that is minus 1L, 1 minus B, as switch L. These two terms cancel out, and you get that your IL average is equal to what you asked for. Here, instead of I peak, I should call it I control, because it's not indicating the peak value, because it's I peak is I control plus this term. So instead of asking for the current you want, you ask for the current you want plus this correction term. The system removes this correction term because it's late, it's giving you less, and you get exactly what you want. Okay? There is just a problem in this solution, and the problem is that the correction you have to apply is 1/2. You know how much is 1/2? 1/2. Switching frequency L, you know how much it is because switching frequency is fixed, L is fixed, you decide what of them. V0, most of the time V0 is fixed. The problem is 1 minus B. The problem is D. Because at the beginning of a cycle, in current mode, you don't know how long it will be. You don't know how much is D. D is a surprise. You start the cycle and you wait until inductor current reaches the desired value. And you don't know how much when this happens. So this D is unknown. You cannot say, oh, I add, let's say, 500 milliamps to my request, because it depends on duty cycle, and you don't know how much is this duty cycle. So the idea is that you have to prepare this correction not as a constant value, but with a value that changes in time. Because let's consider two different situations. One with a very high input voltage and one with a very low input voltage. I peak, IL. If the input voltage is very high, you have something like this. If the input voltage is high, your duty cycle is short. If your duty cycle, if your input voltage is low, you will have something like this. Less ripple, and will come down. Like this. This is high, mid in, and this is low, mid in. You see that the correction you have to apply, if the duty cycle is small, you have to apply a large correction. Because you see your average value goes down to this level. If your duty cycle is small, but you don't know how much it will be, but if it is small, your error, if duty cycle is large, your error will be small. If the duty cycle is large, this correction term is small. You have to provide for a correction that changes in time. It starts with a large value and ends at the cycle with a small value. If the duty cycle is 1, you have to apply no correction. Duty cycle is 1 means that the current is ramping up slowly up to the end, and just at the end reaches the peak and comes, and you switch it off for a very short time. So I have to apply correction that here, at the end of a cycle, is 0. And this correction must be maximum at the beginning of the cycle. This correction is something that I add to I peak to get the current input. And this is a relationship that is linear with duty cycle, so my correction will be something like this. It's a voltage that I have to add to I peak times Rs in order to get exactly what I want. What is the slope of this ramp that I have to add to I peak in order to get what I want? How much is that slope? That's easy. If you don't want to make strange calculations, just take d equals 1, d equals 0, and you find the difference. D equals 1, how much correction? No. D equals 0, how much correction do you have to apply? 1/2 V0 over switching frequency L. A slope is given by the difference in height divided by the difference in horizontal distance. Difference in height is this correction minus 0. And this has to be divided by 1. It's not 1, unfortunately. Because here there's duty cycle, but here there's the frequency. When we have currents, we cannot use 1. We have to use the real time, because V divided by L is not amps per duty cycle, it's amps per second. So how much is the horizontal distance? The switch. So we have that the slope is equal to 1/2 V0 over L switching frequency divided by 1 period. 1 period is the switch. That cancels out with the switching frequency. So, what we get is we want this average value. We know that we cannot use this average value that we want as the peak value because there is a difference. We know that if you want this average value, our peak value must be something like this. This is the correction to IL to get IP. Why this correction changes? Because we don't know how the cycle will end. We don't know how long is the duty cycle. If we know that the duty cycle is short, we need a large correction. If the duty cycle is long, we need a small correction, as we found earlier. And IL, in this condition, equals something like this. This is with a very high duty cycle, because a very small duty cycle, because we have a high slope, high input voltage. Another possible IL, another possible IL, let's suppose with a longer duty cycle, will be something like this, for example. We have fixed frequency conditions. If the input voltage changes, the ripple changes. But the ripple with this correction stays centered around the average value. How much is the slope for this correction? Rank? One half, this slope is 1/2 V0 over N. That is, this slope must be 1/2 of this slope. This way, no matter what is the duty cycle, no matter what is the input voltage, if the output voltage is constant, my current ripple will be always centered around the average bank. So this is a real current source. We don't have any audio susceptibility. This is true, zero audio susceptibility. My crossover frequency stays constant. Okay, so far so good. So, what I needed to implement, the circuit I needed to implement to get this is something like this. This is IL times Rs. Here there is Vcrtl that is constant, and I want Vcrtl equals VIL times Rs. In order to add this ramp, I should add a ramp over Vcrtl. I should add a ramp that is something like this. How much is this slope? One half V naught over L, it's not enough. Times Rs, because this is voltage that I have over there. It could be done, it's never done like this, because it's never done like this because this waveform is not easy to generate. I mean, it's not easy to generate, but usually it's not in the circuit, in the controller circuit already. What is preferred is to add a compensation ramp on the other side. That means we don't use this addition on the control side. We add the addition, we add the compensation ramp on the other side of the comparator. But if we move to the other side of the comparator, what should we add? Comparator makes a difference. This voltage minus this voltage, like A minus B plus C. If I want to move the C on the other side, I have to have A minus C minus B. So, in this, if I add the ramp, this is just basically a matter of practicality. If I add the ramp over here, the ramp should not be this one. Should be negative, flip down. So the ramp, second version, this ramp is called compensation ramp, should be something like this. Because this changes sign, because I move this correction term to the other side of the comparator. Well, this is time, this is voltage, this is not a good solution either, because I need a negative voltage that usually I don't have. The IC controller ICs are usually single supply, so I cannot go negative. Oops. And so the final solution for the compensation ramp, this is the name of this ramp, compensation ramp, compensates the errors between IL and NT, IL average and NT. The final version is something like this. Positive, negative. Here we have Vcrtl flip-flop, reset, set with the periodic waveform, clock, time domain. I told you, I want to add my compensation lamp over here, Physio. I want to add this compensation lamp over here. I don't want to go negative with my compensation lamp, and so the only compensation lamp that I can provide without going negative is that shape moved up to the positive side, so it will be something like this. This is my compensation lamp. It's all positive, so I can generate it quite easily with my electronics. And this slope is 1/2 of V0 over L times Rs, 1/2 of the going down slope. Is it the same to add this kind of compensation lamp or to add this compensation lamp? What's the difference between these two solutions? This one that should be what I would like to add, and this that is what I can add.
The size slope.
No, the size slope is the same. Because if you look at the purple waveform, the slope is going up, here the slope is going up. I need a going up slope because I am adding on this side. It was a going down slope when I added it on this side, but on this side it has to be a positive slope. What's the difference between these two waveforms? Just an offset. Are you very worried about this offset? What do you have here in front? This is an integrator. And so if I have an offset over here, this offset is reduced, is nulled by the integrator. Okay, you want the good news? When you design your final exam, a CCM Buckley right converter that you need to add a compensation ramp, not for this error, the compensation ramp is needed for the subharmonic instability, but when you have to add this compensation ramp, you just have to arrive to give me this slope. This slope must be given volts per microsecond. That's it. I don't ask you to design this circuit because it has some extra details that I don't have time to explain. The extra details are basically the fact that you are adding a voltage to the voltage coming out from the sensor, the current sensor. But in any case, you have a limit over here. This V in comparable must be in any case less than 1 volt. You can go any further above 1 volt, because if you go above 1 volt, this one cannot follow. There is just a dynamic issue, but it's not a big deal. What I want you is tell me if you need a compensation ramp and what's the slope of this compensation ramp, nothing else. Slope is in volts per microsecond. Okay? There is still the last and important part, that is the subharmonic instability. If your duty cycle is larger than 0.5, you have subharmonic instability, guaranteed. And in many cases, you will have more than 0.5 duty. This is because, in many cases, it's convenient to run your buck converter with a very high duty cycle. And you choose the duty cycle for your buck converter? No, because the duty cycle of your buck converter depends on the output voltage and the input voltage. But if you use a derived topology from the buck, that means a buck plus transformer, with the transformer you can change voltage levels, and if you change the voltage level, you can increase the duty cycle as much as you want. So it's quite common in the buck derived converters to have duty cycle is 0.8. And the 0.8 is guaranteed you will have subharmonic instability. And you have to correct for the subharmonic instability using a compensation lamp. If you use that compensation lamp, subharmonic instability disappears. on Friday, we will see what is the slope to kill the subharmonic instability within one cycle. It's not the same slope, but if you use that slope, is good enough. Okay? And on Friday, there will be the show of the poles of this transfer function, because the transfer function between the output voltage and the control voltage is with one pole. Well, on Friday we will see that probably one pole is not enough. We will go for 2 poles, we will go for 3 poles, we will go for infinite poles. So the model of a current mode controllers has a very long life and story, because it started with 1 pole, it moved to 2 poles, it moved to 3 poles, it moved to infinite poles, and for practical engineers, 1 pole is enough. But the theory behind it is not so easy and not so stable. The first guy who came out with 2 poles theory wrote a very beautiful paper on the translations of power electronics, and after a few years he recognized that there was an error. Not too big, nobody noticed it, but there was an error. And after a while, somebody else, was very young, came out with the idea that there are 3 poles, not 2 poles only. And after a while, somebody else said, no, there are infinite poles. Guess what? From a design point of view, 1 pole is more than enough. Today, no lab. You have 1 extra week at least, or 2 maybe. I have to talk with Professor Girola. 1 extra week to design that circuit that should emulate the buck converter or the boost converter. Please do it.